Well, I think that, there are pluses, there are risks and opportunities engaged here. Of course, the election of Mr. Trump fits very neatly into the picture of the world which is dominant in Moscow right now. Of course, traditionally, it has been easier for Russians to deal with Republicans than with Democrats. And of course, there is what I would call the ABC phenomenon. Anyone but Clinton, because a lot has been said during the campaign, and I think that would cast a shadow over the relationship. However, there are risks, and I think, first of all, Trump is not very experienced in foreign policy, and you can have a clash of two strong personalities, like, Putin, Erdogan, and definitely he would try to show that he can stand up. Second, I think that there is a vacuum around Trump, and this vacuum might be filled by neocons. And these people are not easy to deal with, at least from the Russian viewpoint. And finally, I think that there is concern in Moscow that the United States might stop providing global commons. And though Russia might be critical of some actions by the United States, but definitely Russia, like other emerging economies, is benefiting from the United States leadership, at least indirectly. So I don't think that folks in Moscow would like to lose this opportunity. So it's a mixed bag, and we'll have to see how it turns out. Well, I think that the worst thing that can happen is that Trump meets Putin, he looks into his eyes, he likes him, he discovers there's something, and he says, okay, brother Vladimir, I respect your interest. I understand that you'd like to get more influence in the Middle East. You want to fix Syria? Permission granted. Syria is yours. I think that this is something which probably will create more problems than solutions, because I think that judging from the rhetoric that Trump used during his campaign, he might accelerate the US withdrawal from the region. And if he does that, he will leave a vacuum of power behind him. And I don't think that Russia is in a position to fill this vacuum of power. I don't think that Russia can become the security provider for the region, which means that the odds are that this vacuum will be filled by fundamentalists. So I think that there are opportunities. I think that today, especially if you take international terrorism, here Russia can cooperate with the United States on a larger scale, but we should not overestimate it, because there is a very, very powerful inertia of negative trends in the relationship. Well, I think that it really depends on how Trump himself develops the US relations with China, because these relations might become benign, or they can become confrontational. And that will definitely define, to a very large extent, the relations between the United States and Russia as well. I think for the Trump administration, China is the obsession. They are very concerned about China, about the China's impact on the American economy, on the American leadership in the world, and this obsession might lead to very serious crisis in the relationship. I think that definitely Trump is not in a position to disrupt the Russian-Chinese partnership. China will become a very important partner for the Russian Federation. However, if the relations with the United States get any better, Russia will have probably a little bit more flexibility than it has right now in international relations, including that in the Asian Pacific. For example, President Trump can encourage Prime Minister Abe in Japan to go ahead with some kind of rapprochement with Moscow, and definitely Russia needs better relations with Tokyo. Or, on the contrary, Trump might say that Japan should stick to the U.S.-Japanese security arrangement and make no steps to diversify its own foreign policy portfolio. We don't know.